Do I think the Lakers could actually win a title or actually do well in the playoffs this year? Well, the Lakers before the trade deadline were not having a good season. They were consistently at the bottom of the West and they were dealing with a lot of injuries and they just did not look like a good team. Well, after the trade deadline and after some pretty smart moves, this team looks way better. And it seems like the Lakers are now climbing up the ranks. And in a situation where they were supposed to be dead last in the West, there's a possibility they make the playoffs. Not just that, but could they be contenders? Okay, I know this sounds crazy and believe me, it definitely is. But let's talk about this for a sec. After the trade deadline, the Los Angeles Lakers are currently 13-7 right now, which is good enough for the 8th seed in the Western Conference. So they're not technically guaranteed a playoff spot, but they are in a play-in position. But I also want to remember, the Lakers were 13th in the Western Conference at one point. They were dealing with injuries and they did not look like a good team. So how did they make a jump that is so big like this? Despite me defending Russell Westbrook for the entire year, it seems like Russell Westbrook was one of the biggest outliers for the Lakers. Now, me personally, I'm just gonna say it was like a toxic relationship, like they both just were not good enough for each other. Like sure, they're good by themselves, but I just don't think that Russell Westbrook and the Lakers were gonna make sense. I mean, last night Russell Westbrook had what, like 36? But I'm not gonna say that Russell Westbrook was this vampire that Dave McKinnon guy was saying. However, getting Jared Vanderbilt and D'Angelo Russell, yeah, those were some pretty good moves. I know some people were not confident in D'Angelo Russell and Jared Vanderbilt, but honestly, I thought this was such a great trade. Because as much as a lot of people have been doubting D'Angelo Russell, I knew if this guy was in the right environment, he'd be a solid player. And I thought Jared Vanderbilt was a pretty solid player that the Lakers could pick up. Overall, if you were gonna ask anyone who won the trade deadline, I'd argue the only two teams you could really say were the Suns and Lakers. And sure, the Suns did get Kevin Durant, but I'm gonna go with the Lakers. And the only reason I say that is because the Lakers, they became a completely different team. The Phoenix Suns at least had a chance to win a title or at least be contenders. The Lakers were not contenders before the trade deadline. Now, I want to talk about something that is basically saving the Lakers. I feel like in most seasons, the gap between the 10 seed and the 15 seed are pretty far away, and that you're able to tell for a majority of the year who's going to be in the running for the playoffs, and even when they added the play-in, who would be in the race for that. But this year, we really don't know. After the 3-seeded Sacramento Kings, everything is up for grabs. Between the 4 to 12 seed, it's just a wild clusterfuck. Remember how the Dallas Mavericks got Kyrie Irving to pair with Luka Doncic and they were supposed to be contenders? Well, now they're barely not even in the play-in, and there is an actual chance they don't make it. Pelicans, who have been injured for a majority of the year, are somehow still in the playoffs. And how did the Thunder get here? The point I'm trying to make is that it is so weird this year. And the fact that the Lakers were in such a deep hole, they were pretty easily able to get out of that hole. I feel like in most seasons, the Lakers, if they were in this situation like 2 or 3 years ago, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. In fact, they would be just an afterthought. This year, they're now in contention to possibly jump up to like the 5 seed. Of course, a lot of factors need to play in, but still, it is very much possible, especially because everything is lining up for the Lakers as of right now. The fact that Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and basically the whole starting lineup is healthy is something that I don't think the West wants to see. Also, the emergence of Austin Reeves, and yes, I'm just as shocked as you guys are. I mean, don't get me wrong, I always thought he was a fun player to watch, like Alex Caruso was, but I didn't think this guy would actually be an important part to the Lakers. Now, sure, I could bring up the fact that this man is just a free throw merchant, but we're not gonna go there. I mean, all jokes aside, he's still a pretty good shooter, and I'd argue that he's a pretty important part to the Lakers rotation. Also, the fact that LeBron James and Anthony Davis are healthy at the same time is pretty impressive. Now, I saw a report from Brian Windhorst that I thought was pretty insane, where he said something along the lines of LeBron James only returned this early because he felt like the Western Conference was weak. Despite this being a Lakers video, I'm just gonna say shit is not sweet in the West this year. Now, granted, I'm just saying if the Lakers play the Nuggets in the first round like I think they're going to, I'm not confident in the Nuggets. There is something telling me that if the Lakers and Nuggets play in the first round, that the Nuggets are somehow going to lose. Now, I want to transition into the next part, and that's how far can the Lakers actually go? Because sure, if you're a Lakers fan, this is pretty fun to watch, but how good can they actually be come postseason? Because we're less than 2 weeks from the play-in. Holy shit, this season has flied by pretty fast. Like I said, now that we're 2 weeks away from the play-in, first of all, how good can they do in the play-in? With the teams that are currently in that play-in bubble, I'd be very surprised if they do not make it. I do see a situation where they beat the Timberwolves or the Pelicans, but if they somehow were able to play the Thunder, I don't know if they win that. Okay, so assuming they make the play-in and they're now in the NBA playoffs, who could they actually beat? Well, like I said, I think they could beat Denver. Despite Denver being the undisputed #1 seed, something is telling me they're not going to win. For one, I've said Denver has a terrible defense, and I don't care what the stats tell you, because I've been watching a lot of film on this team, and there are so many holes that are not getting covered. The Grizzlies, again, I don't think they can beat that team. Some people are saying the Kings are frauds, and honestly, I find this really disrespectful. Granted, if they did play in a series, I think it would be very close, but I still have the Kings winning. The Suns, I don't see the Lakers beating them, to be honest, but everything under them, like the Clippers, the Warriors, the Timberwolves, I think they could beat. Now, I'm not trying to disrespect the Clippers because the Suns will more than likely have to play them in the playoffs, but I just don't see the Clippers beating the Lakers. I truly think Anthony Davis is going to have no one to guard him, and I also think LeBron James is going to go off. I feel like the Lakers know the tendencies of Russell Westbrook, so maybe they'll be able to take him out the game. Also, Paul George could very much be injured, so we don't know what's going on with that. Regardless, if they were to play, I could honestly see that series going to 7. The Warriors, man, they confuse me. They're either the best team in the league or they look like they can't even win 2 games. I think what's really going to be telling is if they're on the road, because if they're playing on the road for a majority of the series, the Warriors are going to lose. But if it's the other way around, I see the Warriors winning. The Timberwolves, I'm not sure if they could just beat the Lakers. I think the Timberwolves have some work to do as a team. So overall, I think there's a chance that the Lakers could beat some of the teams that are in the bracket. But I don't know if it's this specific Lakers team that can actually go all the way. I think they have a chance. It just really depends on their matchup. And also, I think injuries are definitely going to play a factor. Like if the Lakers can get a break and they play some injured teams, like let's say for the Suns, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker go down, well then I think they're obviously going to win that series. Now there's another thing I want to touch on, and this might actually piss off Lakers fans. There is a chance that the Lakers might actually be frauds, and let me explain. Their schedule post All-Star break just hasn't been that impressive. I've looked at the schedule and they really haven't beat that many contenders. But the good news for Lakers fans is the rest of the season could actually be a breeze for them. I don't really see them losing too many games, and if they do, that's just not going to look good for them. Oh, and there's also a possibility the Lakers could actually be a top 5 team in the West as far as standings go, which again, I think is just crazy thinking about earlier on in the year where they were like the 13th seed. Actually, they might have been 14th at one point. I don't really remember. Okay, so I know I've kind of gone back and forth in this video if I think the Lakers are good, if they're actually not, but let me just get my final answer. Do I think the Lakers could actually win a title or actually do well in the playoffs this year? Well, no. And I'm not going to say it's the Lakers' fault necessarily because they've definitely played well post All-Star break, and overall they do look like a better team, but I just think they put themselves too deep in a hole. This Lakers team has had to fight ever since the post All-Star break to even be where they're at now, but even then, I just don't think it's been impressive enough. Also, I said this earlier, but I just don't think they can beat some of the high contenders in the Western Conference. I mean, for example, my Phoenix Suns. Kevin Durant is now finally healthy. And sure, some Lakers fans might say, oh, well, we beat the Suns last time. Yeah, well, they didn't have Kevin Durant or DeAndre Ayton. And the Grizzlies, despite losing Ja Morant for a while, it seems like nothing really changed. Also, Sacramento, I'm a little bit scared for that team, but I really do think they're just a young, jumpy team that's going to do something in the playoffs. But yeah, I just don't see a situation where the Lakers could win. But who knows, maybe I'm going to get proven wrong. I mean, truly, I don't mind if that happens. If you guys did enjoy the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Also, I want to give a big thank you on the last video. That video did like 100K in a little over a day. That's never happened to me in my life. Y'all are fucking insane, man, and I really do appreciate y'all.
I'm the kid, Jason kidding, you kidding me? Yes, fuck that bitch till the day I die. 220 on the dash, she got bloody red eyes. I got the pay coming in, finna give me eyes. Tryna link, I ain't really got no time. Give a fuck about a hater, y'all can suck me dry. And your bitch can too, yeah, I know she gon' ride. For me good, she got her a barking. Up and down the pole, know she working.